right, but even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Sorry to cut you off, Lebowski, but we are
No,
live. We're live. We were doing some behind-the-scenes stuff. Dealer Gaming had trouble joining this, so hopefully we can get that worked out by next week. Welcome to the show, everybody. I've got with me the usual suspects and someone new. I've got Mooch with me. Say what's up, Mooch.
What's good, everybody?
I got Too Much Food. What's up, Too Much Food?
What's going on?
And I got a guy that I've been trying to do a podcast with forever, the crazy-ass Blackie Lebowski. Say what's up to everybody.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Blackie Lebowski. It's good to be here. What's going on?
Hell yeah. Okay, now first off, I want to talk a little bit about this. Obviously, this whole Gamescom thing is interesting, but the big news today is the whole situation with the cloud computing and things like that. That news has come out. The Crackdown 3 stuff, absolutely phenomenal. It wasn't just that one demo that we saw at Microsoft's conference, but rather we saw multiple different. I watched one from IGN. I watched a couple different streams, and it's looking fantastic. If you guys didn't know, you need a 2 megabit connection, which is nothing, right? Like I have terrible internet, and I still have 15 megabit connection, right? So basically, you need a 2 megabit connection, and you can get 20 times the computational power. And there's an article that went up saying that it turns the Xbox One into the most powerful console ever made, and that's making a lot of people salty. Now, the thing is, the Sony fanboys, they dealt with this a couple different ways, right? The first thing they did when the cloud was brought up originally was, and we can go back on YouTube and see it, Red Dragon covered it very well for the idiots that were like, it's fake, Microsoft's lying, it's not real, right? So basically we know that they thought it was fake at first, denied it, said it sucks, not going to happen. Now that we see it, oh, by the way, according to an IGN interview, they're looking to launch this, the launch window for Crackdown 3, which surprised me, is summer 2016. So it's not that far off, you know, about a year or so away. Apparently this game has been in development for a while. So they denied that it was a thing. Oh, the cloud sucks, it's not real, it's not this, it's not that. Microsoft backed off on it wisely because you don't want to talk about too much about something unless you have something to back it up. So now they have something to back it up, and it looks amazing. So now the Sony fanboys are at the point where, like, well, maybe I'll wait until it's in people's homes before I believe it, or they do the other thing and say, you know what, Sony can do the same thing, which is just a load of bullshit because check this out. Microsoft, going back to their announcement, 800,000 servers. What did you think that was for? When they were talking about the cloud and how it can improve the Xbox One, what did you think they were talking about? It was built from the ground up for this. Sony doesn't have the means to do this or the ability to do this. They're still running their PS4 off of PS3 old-time PSN. It's not the same thing. What's your guys' take on all this situation? You know, whoever wants to jump in.
Well, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say this. Ladies, gentlemen, and ponies, today was a victory. Today was D-Day. Okay, if you look back in history, it wasn't the actual day of the war that we went into. It was a few days after they declared D-Day. Today's D-Day for Xbox fans. The victory is won, and the media can't. The media is a hush. The YouTubers are a hush, and when you hear silence, you have yourself a W. Now, getting past that point, basically, Crackdown. I'm actually shocked at what Crap just said. I didn't know they were going to release that by next summer. I thought that was going to be definitely a beta for next summer. I thought that, you know, maybe get some sort of a code for that, preview member, something like that, and then they would relaunch it probably spring or something of 2017. But if that comes out, that means the technology is way ahead of what we thought. I mean, now who's the source on that crap?
IGN was the source on that.
Okay. No, I mean, you know, I'm just shocked. As far as what's going on with the riches of the world, which I don't subscribe to him or listen to him anymore because it's just pure hate. This scene is believing stuff. This is what people do. You know, this is what you do when you're eating crow at this point. They have to go back and they have to sound politically correct. So what do they say? Oh, I'm not sure. Seeing is believing. My good friend and yours, sarcasm and air quotes, Arsenal has already come out and said, you know, I have to see it to believe it with 1 million people out there using it at the same time. All he's doing is just, you know, he's got to backtrack so that later on he can reiterate it again in some other fashion. He's a flip-flopper. There's a lot of flip-floppers. I say this all the time, and I think everybody on this show has done it. Draw a line in the sand and take a side. Stop with this flip-flop and bullshit.
Yep.
Don't pretend you're on one side or the other.
Even though I look like even though people said I was full of shit and I'm misinformation and all this stuff, guess which line I've been on since the beginning? That line that was saying, hey, this stuff is real. I know all about it. You know what I mean? It wasn't, and this is the thing. They're patents by Microsoft. This is Microsoft technology. They're the leaders of software. There's a reason why Windows dominates.
Exactly.
It's because they're software kings. And the fact that they've come up with this technology, originally the latency was much higher. Like to use PlayStation Now, they suggest 5 megabytes per second download speed, right? This, for this destruction, is 2 megabytes. That's nothing. That's nothing. You know what I mean? That's nothing really. And think of what you can do.
Albert Pinello said we have some of the smartest software engineers. And we all know this. And you got to give credit where credit's due. You know, I always like to at least give credit. Red Dragon, with his video yesterday, when he said, why is it we're sitting here? Why are people on YouTube sitting there quoting either the competition or developers that have had nothing to do with this technology, but then when Microsoft, the people who are basically responsible for every single time anybody boots a computer up at work or anything that's happened in the business world in the past 30 years, comes out and tells you they're working on this technology, they're to be ridiculed, laughed at, pointed at, made a mockery of. And that's where you have to sit. And I think that's why you have the people on the Xbox. I've said this all the time. I think we're a higher echelon consumer. I think we have more expendable funds because we have better jobs. These people, you got to understand, a lot of the people that are the PS4 fans, the ponies, they are children. And the gaming media is quiet today because they're children. I posted out a couple of pictures on Twitter of the people that actually are responsible for all the hate that we've been getting over the past 2 years, and you just look at them. They're 18 to 25-year-old snot-nosed kids all living in California in some fantasy camp land that they've created over on the West Coast, and it's not realistic. It's not realistic at all. So now Microsoft comes out, does a tech demo, and you still have these ridiculous people saying, "I have to wait to see it." Well, I don't. You know what I mean? I don't know what in the world you would like them. Would you like them to do what Major Nelson did to Boogie, come knock on the door and play a game with you? I don't understand what you would like them to do. So, I mean, that's why it's really important to constantly rehash the words. And you know, Blackie, I got to give you credit. You're always referring, and you're 100% accurate. You're always referring to the fact that the ponies are either children or just some snot-nosed kids living in their parents' bedroom. Because these conversations and the comment sections they leave in your guys' comments are they're just childish, and it's ridiculous. But the problem is, though, this is the hate. The media spun it. The children and the kids and the people between 18 and 25 run with it, and that's why they have those initial leading sales figures. You know, that's my take on it, and I think that's why today is an utter victory, because we finally have the proof in the pudding that we've been talking about. Now Microsoft put it out there, and that's why YouTube and the media have been hush all day. It has been nothing.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, Mooch, you hit it right there, man. It's like the media, everybody, they just don't want to give any type of credit. And now we have something like the cloud computing, and it's real. That's why I never really talked about it too much. It's one of those things that it's beyond a lot of people's, grasp of thought, like how this works, and just to see it, just like with the destruction, and it just makes me feel like if the only thing you can do is talk about sales or, like anything besides to embracing that and saying this is really awesome as a gamer to see things moving in an innovative way like that, like full destruction, like having the architecture to take some of this memory and put it off into a server. Like I was saying earlier, this benefits everybody who games, like because of the architecture that's there now. And yeah, these ponies are just, they don't give a shit. They're just like, whatever, I'm reading on NeoGAF that they don't like it, so I'm gonna sit here and say I don't like it. And I really do feel like they're kids, that it's really out of control. Because when I seen everything happen, after Gamescom, it was really that Crackdown demo. When he was talking about all that stuff, that's when it really hit me. And I don't know, as a gamer, I'm happy to be able to appreciate that and not be worried about sales. Because if you think about sales real quick, now everybody's so quick to forget, the Wii was the shit. It sold so much. Look at the Wii U. That thing it's like dead. Like how good did the Wii sales help the Wii U? You think about the PS3 and the PS2. The PS2 dominated shit. The PS3 came out, had a really hard time doing its thing. So like, I'm like, hey, if you want to keep your sales, that's fine with me. I'm gonna appreciate the innovation, being a gamer, and just I don't know, Xbox the best box. Fuck it.
I just think it's so weird to me that a lot of these journalists and gaming outlets, they're saying we have to wait to see. I want a hands-on this and that. But when Sony is showing CGI, non-gameplay stuff, they have the audacity to write full-blown articles about the game and how beautiful it is and how but for a demonstration of actual gameplay, they need to wait and see. I'm like, it's like Mooch said, what are you waiting for to see? Like, Phil Spencer come over with a six-pack and a pizza, and he's like, hey, let's play some Crackdown.
Yeah.
And
let me say this much too much food. Let me just add one sentence to that. Let me get right back to it. Is they want us? Let's wait and see. Is what the gaming media is saying. You're in Germany. You are seeing it. We're the ones watching it from a Ethernet cable. They're actually there. So I don't know what else they would like to see. They're right there. The guy's 15 feet in front of them on the stage. I'm blown away from the States. Okay, I'm over here, and we're not talking about. We're talking about one game, one computational power that we see that we came out of Crackdown's demonstration. How about we talk about the quantum breaks, the Scalebound, the features, the two shows that Major Nelson put on between yesterday and today. All that content, the controller, the hardware, the cheaper product. There's a lot of things that people talk about in this country that they wanted out of these consoles. One was games. Number two is features. Three is something we talk about, but we don't talk about it out loud, is price. Microsoft's winning all three categories as we stand here today. Yeah. I ask Americans all the time, what in the world would you like them to do? They gave you 4 free games with the purchase of a $40 Gears of War Ultimate Edition. They're throwing you backwards compatible games with Just Cause and all these other games, Fallout 3. They're throwing these at you. They're letting you use older games. They're working with publishers that don't even want to work with them, getting them to change things over so you can use those 400 games you built up last generation. They're giving you value. They gave you EA access. They worked the deal out with that. They gave you a $350 console, beating the competition by $50. They made the other peripheral extra if you want it. By the way, if you don't have a Kinect, you're a fool. But if you don't want one, you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
So my point is that they went out of the box. They did everything an American business should do to please a consumer. So whenever you're going to pick up one of those blue boxes, the PS4 this month or next month, stop and think about it for a second. What do you want to do? You want to go home and play soccer cars? Or do you want to have everything that you've seen this next week come to fruition in the next 12 months, and you're going to get something released every month from here till about April of next year? Go ahead, Food. I'm sorry. I could go on forever.
And it's okay. Another thing I was thinking about was, as we go each generation and so forth in these consoles, the computational power multiplies by, so many times. And, a lot of these PlayStation 4 fans are saying that they're not interested in this tech and this and that. And the first thing I think of is, okay, then you don't have to buy it. And the second thing I think of is I don't want to say the PS5 and possibly the PS6, even though I don't think there will be one. I hope there is because I want consoles to stay around forever. But let's just say, hypothetically, I think the PS6 would have the computational power that the Xbox One, along with the cloud, would have. And it would be able to achieve stuff like this. But I bet you when the PS6 is out and they're playing that type of game, neither one of them are going to say, I don't want to play this. This is too much. Like, I don't need all this stuff here. It's like, it sounds like one of my sarcastic videos that I've done, where I'm like, I don't want to play this game with all these features. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, why don't you want more features? Why don't you want more out of your game? Like, what is it that they don't want? And, for them to need, Crap's talking about how you need 2 megabytes per second for this kind of stuff. You got to remember, they can't even get 0.0001 megabytes when their services are down all the time. So they don't really. It's not for them. It's not for them because they're in denial. It's not for them because the service they're paying for can't even provide that type of quality service.
Yeah, well, one thing is this, right? You have to build that up from the ground up. That's the thing. Like, people are not, like, understanding that Sony has one small data center. That's why they have so much problem. That's why they have all that scheduled maintenance. You notice Xbox Live never has scheduled maintenance because, hey, guess what? We're going to do maintenance on this set of servers. Let's quick and switch them over to this other set over in this other place, and then we'll maintenance on these. And then it's so seamless that we never have downtime maintenance like that. I'm not saying it's perfect or never has issues, but when compared to PlayStation Network, it's damn near flawless. You know what I mean? And this was what they had in mind all along. Microsoft are the ones that continue to push the industry every generation. And think about this. The original Xbox, it came with the Ethernet cable only. They said no to dial-up gaming. A lot of people were pissed off about that. Back in the day, that was the no DRM bitch. Imagine if there was social media, probably hashtag, dial-up modem. You know what I mean? You would have seen something like that, as ridiculous as that sounds. Thank God that there was no social media to stop that, because that would have held back the games. You know how laggy it was? And I used to game on the Dreamcast on dial-up. It was bad.
Yeah.
You know, and so they pushed that forward. They had a hard drive in the original Xbox. They had, the two thumbsticks. You know, they were doing a lot of different things. They had online with Xbox Live, with voice chat and all that kind of cool stuff. And then they go into the Xbox 360, and they were the first ones to come out with stuff like Netflix. And now I don't know anybody that would want a console without Netflix or some kind of app like that. They did. They update their dashboards. They did party chat. They're the ones that push the industry. Now it's cloud computing. The Xbox One with cloud computing is future-proof because it can do 20 times computational power with a small internet connection. Now we see why they wanted an online console, and it looks genius. And you know who held people back is the PS4 and Sony and crybabies who complained about having to be on the internet.
But that's the thing, like, it's 2015. It's 2015 right now. There's refrigerators, washing machines, dishwashers that all connect to the internet. Like, here, okay, I understand what they're getting at. What they're trying to say is, I don't want to have to connect to the internet to play these games. I want it to work right out of the box, and I get that. But there will never be a time moving forward as a gamer in which you will not be connected to the internet to fully enjoy a game. You could play a sweet campaign, but to really enjoy these features, all of them, you're gonna have to be online. Even on the games that they love and cherish so much, there's online features. Now, look at the Order. Crappy ass campaign, no online, it's garbage. That shit's a coaster.
Yeah.
I'll put my Snapple on that shit and use it so I don't scratch my table.
I played it. I did a Let's Play of that, and it was so funny. It was like boring. It was so funny. You know what I mean? It was like, Mooch, you remember that? I did the Let's Play.
Which game?
For Mooch. On the Order 1886.
Yes. Well, when you did that, I was just put into an immediate coma. But yes. Honestly, it's funny you bring that up though, Crap. I say this all the time to people. I say, listen, I'm a consumer. I have no problem having multiple consoles. Hey, just do me a favor, like write me a DM or write me on Twitter and tell me why do I want to go buy a PS4? Tell me why. What am I going to get out of it?
It's obsolete.
Why would I go buy one?
I gotta tell you, I'm firmly in belief that processing and cloud and stuff is the future. I will gladly be online if that's what we're going to get. I can imagine Halo, Gears of War, fully destructible environments, and that pleases me greatly. Microsoft is pushing the industry forward, and Sony's kind of like stuck back in a little bit with the old ways. You know what I mean? And like I said, I was thinking about my PS4 today, and I just had this like kind of feeling towards it, like, wow, why did I even buy this thing? It's clear that they don't have a clear picture of what they want in the future. This isn't the same Sony that I kind of enjoyed some of the PS3 exclusives, even though the console was pretty bad. It's just, it feels almost last gen. It's last gen, and I said that on Twitter today and got probably 50 favorites and a bunch of retweets. I was like, look, PS4 is last gen. It's old news. It's all about that Xbox One. And then on top of that, reconfirmed today at Gamescom was that Metal Gear Solid 5 1080p 60 frames per second on Xbox One. So that power gap that people swore would only get wider has now evaporated to 0. So now there's not even that going for the PS4. So basically all you're going to have is sales. But how long will that work? Because guess what? Sony skipping out on Gamescom could be hazardous to their lead in Europe. It absolutely could. It was a huge mistake. They probably see that. Sony has tried to make news by saying, hey, we're the official Call of Duty sponsor for MLG. We gave them free PS4s because and that's what people have been saying, meh, with a shrug basically. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was Sony's answer to incredible first-party stuff, cloud tech, backwards compatibility, the deal with the Gears of War. You know what their answer to that was? Guess what? We're getting Call of Duty DLC, soccer cars. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. By the way, No Man's Sky is getting pushed to next year. That was our big quote-unquote exclusive or timed exclusive. You know what I mean? And now it looks like it came out today that Naughty Dog said Uncharted 4 still in early development, which means do people actually? Yeah, they said that it's still in early development.
I said this and got reamed out. Crap. They let go of half their staff. They're down to a skeleton crew. Okay, they lost Amy Hennig, and they lost all the creative directors. They lost 2 of them. They lost another big software guy they had that was a dev. They lost a lot of people. Then they let go of a lot of the smaller folks because the 2 current CEOs had a vision for the way that they wanted to see this title start to go into a darker light, which is fine. That's fine if they want to take that in an artistic light. This is a game that's supposed to carry that console. That franchise is their bread and butter. And here we are. We saw the first initial freeze frame thing back in 2013. Here, and now you're telling me that just tells you that they're probably going to delay it again. And that doesn't mean they're going to delay it into 2017. But now we know, and we're going to find out a little bit more. When the parish, I can't believe I have to actually bring it up and give that show credit. It's going to be like a tent. But listen, literally, it's going to be like a tent sale. But whatever it is. But they're not going to have anything there. We're going to see what they're going to have coming up for 2016. If 2016 doesn't prove to have anything for them in the fall, they're going to end up pushing Uncharted 4 into the fall. And that's when you really know. If you're a Sony guy, forget what we say. It doesn't matter. That's when you know. And me as a consumer, I'm out. I'm out this generation on the PlayStation because I can't justify purchasing this console when your flagship. Now, Microsoft's new flagship was Halo, right? So Halo 5's coming out this year. What did they do? They gave us a fantastic filler. Forget the word filler. It's a collection. The Halo Master Chief Collection is one of the best $60 I've ever spent in the video game category, period. Hands down, and it's something it's something everybody should have. Even a Sony fan should probably just have it as a collector's edition. So here we are again. What is Sony going to have next year? We're going to find out. And listen, we saw when they had their own PlayStation show. They had their own show, that PSX show in January. They showed us Indies, Fat Princess. They had the guy who made what was it there? What's the car game? Oh shoot, I can't remember his name now. Joffrey. He got up there and he all he showed us was a black and white overhead shoot 'em up of I don't know what is it there, pencil.
Oh, okay, drawn to death.
Drawn together.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Listen, it's and this is a lot of people are listening now. There's a couple people on Twitter right now making comments saying don't be negative, Listen, I'm not being negative. I'm just trying to talk as a consumer. Why on God's green earth would I go and give Sony the $400 they're asking for right now? There's nothing positive coming down the pipe.
Hey, I feel like the sucker. I have one. Go ahead, Blackie.
I did the same thing that I told somebody the other day. If they had Warhawk on the PlayStation 4, like Warhawk 2, I would go buy it in a heartbeat. And that's one of the reasons that I tell people I don't like Sony. It has nothing to do with being a fanboy or just like an Xbox line better. Like, I was a big Warhawk fan, and that game was broken. And Sony didn't give a fuck about that game. And if you go on the game right now, today, the greeting message is from 2008. Like, what type of shit is this? Like, what type of support is that? To me, that's a joke.
And like Blackie said, it has nothing to do with being a fanboy because, above all, I am a gamer. But, I have the Wii U, right, because there's some games on there that are very enticing and I wanted to play. I got the Xbox One because they have like 30 games that I want to play. The PS4 I don't have and I won't get. There is nothing on there for me. There is absolutely nothing on there. And in the PS3 was the same kind of case. I said I will pick up a PS3 if they have Kingdom Hearts 3 because that is a must-have thing for me, and they didn't, so I didn't get it. I didn't buy the Wii. I had a Wii in my house eventually, but I didn't make the purchase, and I wasn't going to. But I didn't buy the Wii because I felt like it was irrelevant. Like yes, there's Mario Kart and Smash Bros, but that wasn't enough for me to want to get that. So I feel like this generation, for me, the PS4 is what the Wii was for me last generation. Like it just wasn't for me. There's no games that is for the hardcore gamer. Like the PS4 is appealing to like the blind essentially because they're selling you all the games that we can get on the Xbox One, but somehow tricking you into thinking it's better.
Yeah. See, dude, like I have a different experience, and it's really real, man. Like I had all the games on the PS3: Killzone 2, Killzone 3, Resistance 2. I was actually 200 in the world in Resistance 2. My PSN IDs Hustles 420. I played with Tall Tony and High Top 365, Sweet Teabag, and we literally teabagged the fuck out of teams and just ran over motherfuckers. I played with Blazing Hero. Like any real PlayStation fan right now is gonna be like, fuck, Lebowski was running with them niggas? Yes, that was me. And I bought Heavy Rain. I bought fucking Mod Nation Racers, Little Big Planet. And there was a repeating trend. Like none of these games had midnight launches. They didn't have a lot of support after the fact. When I came back to Halo 4 and getting the 360 Slim, because I was like, fuck Xbox, the Red Ring of Death is horrible. But after dealing with all them bullshit-ass games and really not getting a lot of support and just getting, people were rude as fuck online, the network dropping, SOCOM, all this shit, man, after getting Halo 4 and that 360 Slim, it was like coming in out of torrential rain into a nice, dry home, man, with a fireplace, like, for real, like it wasn't about man. These as a consumer, they really didn't give a fuck. I would be on the forums asking them about this flight mode in Warhawk, and people would say, "Get good, motherfucker, get good." I was on the phone with Dylan Job. He was the leader of Lightbox Interactive. They're formerly known as Incognito Studios. They made Warhawk. I was on the phone with Dylan Job. It was Starhawk Radio, December 16th, 2011, and I asked him about the classic flight mode and the arcade flight mode. Dude straight up says, like, their algorithms show that this shit is fucked up, but it's hard to fix. And I was like, how fucking broke can this be? Starhawk comes out. Dylan Job straight up tweets his people, get your resumes together. Like, so, cut the fuck off. Zipper Interactive, cut the fuck off. People want to be like, oh, you're a fanboy? I'm sitting here looking at Crackdown. My mind is blown. And the dude is not saying, oh, this is Crackdown. This is the future of gaming. It's all destruction. He's saying this is the idea. This is the concept we're showing you. And this shit is going over gamers' heads like fucking sparrows, man. Like, get a goddamn grip, man. Shit was really cool, but I don't want to rant on it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know what? You know what's interesting is I have all those PS3 games still, right? Like, and that's cool because you were like a PS3 guy, and you might not have always been an Xbox guy, and then you came over. Like when this generation was about to start, I was only going to get one right out of the gate because I was like, I had bought both always at around the same time, and since they were coming out so close, like last gen, the 360 launched in 2005, so obviously I bought that first, and then the other ones launched a year later. So it was much easier to do it that way. So this time I was like, they're launching damn near at the same time, so I'm going to base it on the games. Sony was like, okay, we're going to have Killzone and Knack, and I was like, really? That's how uninteresting. You know what I mean? And Microsoft was like, we're bringing back Killer Instinct, and I was like sold right there. And Rise looked brilliant. They were like Forza 5, my favorite racing series. It was Dead Rising 3, 1,000 zombies on the screen at the same time, and no two zombies of the same kind. Why didn't that get any more hype than it did? There was the zombie generator had no two same zombies. You know what I'm saying? There was no repeat zombies in that game. So I think that that's fantastic. But instead of talking about that, people were like, it's 720p, right? Let's not talk about 1,000 zombies on the screen at the same time and no repeating zombies. Let's talk about 720p, even though that game looks goddamn gorgeous, So they had that. They even had smaller titles like Zoo Tycoon, and then 3 months after launch, Titanfall, probably one of the best new first-person shooters I've ever played. You know what I mean? And then, that's why I bought an Xbox One at launch. It wasn't because of, I did, fuck all the other stuff, the nonsense, because the DRM never happened. We all know Sony had the same plans. They were going to bundle a camera too and pulled it out literally last minute to knock $100 off. They were actually going to charge $499 for the PS4 with that shitty little camera, whereas Microsoft gives you a Kinect that can do like 1,000,000 times different things. You know what I mean? And so people like it's time to get over that stupid stuff. If you're a gamer, just enjoy the games at this point. See what Microsoft is doing and stop trying to put on the fanboy stuff.
They cornered Kudo the other day, and they asked him, "What's the deal? What's going on with the Kinect?" Because that was his baby. And Microsoft pulled the Kinect out of the box quite some time ago now, and they've made it an option for the consumer. And what I want to know is, and this is why I'm on YouTube, is I'm trying to get people to use their minds, stop and think about what's really going on here. Why is it nobody's asking Sony, what's the deal with your camera? It's still on the shelf for $70. You're still asking people for their hard-earned money for $70. What are the features you're bringing to that? What happens when I use that in game? What does that do? Hey, why is it I have a touchpad on the middle of my controller that does nothing now 2 years into development? Why did you waste valuable space on my controller with all this gimmicky stuff? Nobody's ever asking them, but you're going to walk up to a Microsoft executive again, okay? We already know what IGN's done with insulting Phil. Now you're going to go ahead and when I watched that interview, it was just very, very, it's insulting to me personally. I'm like, ask the man legitimate questions about today moving forward. Don't ask him about something that they've already described to you. If you don't know what a Kinect does by now, I'll give prop to where it's due. And I had a long conversation with him. Tune into Big Kahuna's channel and watch him. He's got about 25 videos on how to use a Kinect, okay, if you don't know how to speak. So, the thing is a great tool. It's great for navigation. It's great for TV enjoying. I'm watching Netflix with the wife, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to make a drink," and I don't have a controller on my lap. I'm like, X1, pause, bang, get up, make your drink, come back. As I'm walking in with 2 drinks in my hand, X1, play. And like these are small little things. Volume up, volume down. There's in-game options, things like that to pause, pull up menu. It's if you want to use it, it's there. And I hate to use the same analogy, but the features and the usefulness of the Kinect and the UI that Microsoft is giving everybody is like your phone. I have a very, very capable smartphone. I'm not big into the App Store. I don't have 5,000 apps. I use it predominantly for texting and calling people. And figure that out, right? Email, the things that everybody listening right now goes, yeah, no kidding, so do I. But do you want me to remove some features, even though they're on your phone? Like I'll remove the fact that it can do this or that, or remove Siri from it, or remove Cortana from it. Why would I remove that? It's just part of what you got for your $200 2-year subscription cost for subsidizing that phone. Why is it when Microsoft says, we're going to give you this, if you want it, you want it. If you don't want it, you don't want it. That's fine. The guy gets on to like, so Kudo, what's the problem? What happened with the whole Kinect thing? If I was him, I would have been like, we're still on that? Do we have another question? What is it you want him to say? He had a tap dance around and say, well, we got games like, things that use that kind of peripheral. We have the Just Dance games coming in. Of course, the hardcore gamers don't want that, so they all start snickering in their parents' bedrooms. So it's a ridiculous comment to ask him, and that's why the media is just absolutely. They are firing at Microsoft, and there's a lot of talk on Twitter right now saying, "Oh, don't be negative. Use the Xbox News for good." That's fine, but there's a lot of negativity. We're only one podcast here. We're only doing a podcast on Crap's channel with so many people listening. These people have millions of people tuning in every day, and they're rightfully so. They're interviewing people. They're on site, and they're insulting these CEOs right in front of them. They created these tools and these and this technology.
Absolutely, and the people that are telling you that don't be negative and use this news for being positive and stuff like that. Like the thing is what you might not understand is that we have to point out these negative things because other people just don't see it, or don't know that some of these outlets are lying, or they're exaggerating, or they're taking sound bites and then making articles based on that. For example, the Xbox One is doing so well, so 21 months into its life cycle, they have to bring up Kinect for the 1 billionth time, and like Mooch says, he takes it personal, and I, when it comes to the Kinect, I kind of do too, because it's like it's not bad. They said the Kinect can do this thing and this thing and this thing, and you know what? When I bought it, it can do this thing, this thing, and this thing. It does its job. It helps me navigate. It helps me get things done. It makes things so much easier. But like he says, nobody is questioning why the you know, the Sony one can't do any of those. Why do they even have it? Why does it even exist? Like, why are they still selling it for this many dollars? Like, does it bring anything to the table? It's for a gaming console, so does it do anything to help you with gaming? And
it was originally for Morpheus all along. Same thing with that light bar on the PS4 controller. That was all for Morpheus, right? I mean, it's all like a Trojan horse, and then they want to sell you this $500 gimmicky VR headset next year sometime. That's all it's for, you know what I mean? It's like, and they want to sit there and yeah. Go ahead.
And they don't. And the funny thing is that with Morpheus, I'll bet you anything that they even if they have a finished product, they will be waiting until Oculus Rift comes out, until HoloLens comes out, because they want there to be, you know how like Sony doesn't want to spend any money at all? They don't want to have to advertise that product as big as they should or have to, so they're going to wait till HoloLens becomes a public thing, you know, and Oculus Rift, to where the public, everybody knows what VR is, like what everybody knows a smartphone is, right? And then they'll launch their product, so that way when people go, oh, does PlayStation have one? Or like, let's say they go to Best Buy or Walmart and they see one sitting there, they're going to be like, oh, I know what this is. This is one of those Oculus Rift thingies, or you know how parents and older folk are. And then they're going to be selling that because they want to buy into gimmickry. They don't want to innovate. So that's why if you really look at their console, they're one step away from being behind the competition. They're one step away from being behind the Nintendo, because they did the whole PS Vita thing with the gamepad, and then the same thing with the Move remotes, right? They're one step behind Microsoft and Facebook with the whole VR thing, but they're just sitting on it, waiting to see if they could, you know, follow and get in on the cash cow. They have the camera there, like Crap said, you know, so because it's for Morpheus all along. Like they don't give a shit about bringing anything to gaming. They just want to buy in on sheer gimmickry. They are not a real gaming company.
Well, I said,
listen, Microsoft.
Go
ahead, Blackie.
Microsoft, right? And this is becoming a very, very critical part of gaming right now. Microsoft they've been good at software, okay? And I have an Apple computer, okay? So it's not like I'm just a Microsoft fan, but they ran shit with Windows. At one point, most profitable business ever in history. I mean, this is what they've done with software. Like you said earlier, when people boot up a computer, you PC gamers, what does it say? You know, it's right there in front of you. And Sony has traditionally been really good at making hardware. Just as a rule of thumb, they've been good at it. Okay, you can say that. I wouldn't say that now because of their financial situations, but okay, just run with it. And now you got this cloud computing. Now, I guess the overall theme of the show is cloud computing, so I'm going to go back to that. And here's something where they can use their software engineers, the best people in the world, to do this stuff, and they have the money to get the hardware made as good or as better than Sony can bring. So you have a real issue. And the real problem is, I think, you have a lot of people on YouTube who have the audacity to think they're smarter than the software engineers over at fucking Microsoft. That's like Rich of Review Tech USA. I don't give a fuck how smart that dude thinks he is. He's been wrong on more than a couple of things. And he is technically inclined, but there are many more people who are much more technically inclined. And whenever you're saying shit like, oh, look what Mark Cerny has to say, he don't think the cloud works, and then they're showing Crackdown, you got to have that fucking seat. You know what I mean? And, like, to me, it's the Xbox is just they're blazing through with this stuff, and I think it's awesome. There's no other console I'd ever have, and these people on YouTube they hear this shit from these dumbasses, and they're getting PlayStations.
Well, hey Blackie, tell me about this. This is the second time Sony's been caught with their pants down. Cerny comes out, makes a comment, you know, and everyone's gonna be like, "Well, don't blame him. He was just making a generalized comment." Well, no, I'm going to blame him because everybody gave him a lot of credit for the work that he's done and the architecture that he built inside the PS4. He came out and made those comments that he felt that it was not it was not technology that was ready for today, maybe 5-10 years from now. So strike one. The other thing is Yoshida came out and said it right after E3. we're actually baffled and amazed that Microsoft was able to accomplish backwards compatibility. We're probably not going to be able to do that. So this is a company that can't even fathom what Microsoft is doing, and you're hearing it right from the executives. Okay,
I gotta say this: I'd be baffled if you pulled up in a Ferrari because you had a bunch of money in the bank. You got money, you can do shit, duh. Like, I don't understand why people. It all boils down to finances. And in my perspective, it's like I've said this before. Whenever you have the money to get things done, it's cheaper to borrow money. You can do a lot of things more efficiently. You can pay your workers; they're more productive. They don't steal shit. They have benefits. They have their days off during the year, so it keeps them sane. When you're over at Sony and you're losing all your shit, it's just a downward spiral. People are in the departments like, fuck, Bob just got fired. Am I going to be able to pay my fucking rent next week? Nigga, I'm broke. My kids ain't got no food, man. I got to get some ramen noodles. That's what they saying over there at Sony, man. And everything else, but...
And what blows my mind is that, like, some of these guys that are trying to say this and that about the cloud negatively, I'm over here thinking, like, what are your credentials? Like, how do you qualify to be a judge, or or decipher if this is a good product or what it is and isn't capable of doing? Like, are you Neil deGrasse Tyson? Like, who the hell are you? Did you go to Harvard? Did you study this kind of stuff in college, or did you do journalism like you lead us on to believe? And there's things that I know about because I've studied, but I don't know about interstellar travel and things like that, so I don't make these type of comments like, oh, you can and can't do this. Like, I'm not a physicist, I'm not a scientist, I don't know these type of things, so I take a step back and I pretty much watch and take in the whole scenario. And right now they're talking about Microsoft's cloud like if they were previously in that kind of job field. Like how are they qualified to discuss something like that? I don't understand.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say real quick, man. If somebody told me 15 years ago, hey man, your phone, you're gonna be able to like drive down the road and you ain't even gotta have music on it, man. You get it off the internet and that bitch you can look up porn while the music's playing and all this stuff. I'd have been like, there's no way. There's no way. And that's the thing, like, you gotta refer back a little bit, and it's like we don't know what the fuck to expect. So that's how I do it. I went to school for business. I can read an income statement. Sony, they've been listening to things. I put it together. Their fucking controller is falling apart at Best Buy. I hold both of them.
Blackie.
I don't know what to tell you. It's like, I don't know. I'm just gonna
Blackie, you know what I tell people every time we discuss something about technology and that they don't think it's possible and this and that? You know what I keep reminding them? That we went to the moon in the 60s. And with it was with a CPU that was less powerful than that of the very first iPhone.
Well, we're at what are we at? We're at Pluto with less powerful CPU than the PlayStation 1.
We went to the moon on a gig worth of data. That's crazy.
When you have like Mooch said earlier, we have some of the brightest minds working for that company, and the things that you are able to achieve. If you set a vision at that company and you can convince the company to get behind your idea, you're limitless. You could come up with anything there.
Well, look at the small stuff and work your way up to go start small and work your way big. Just in the 2 years that we've had this console, the Xbox One, they've changed the interface slightly. They've added things like what's on. They've added the features are endless. I'm not going to get into that list of some are very big, some are very small. We had the transparent tiles. Then you had the ability to actually make them from transparent and range them up and down how you'd like them to look. You can adjust the sound. For God's sakes, the Xbox One snaps, for crying out loud. Okay, that is so that is not even taken into consideration. Does anybody even realize it? If you say you don't use that, let me explain this. A lot of people are like, I don't watch TV. I cut the cord. That's a bunch of bullshit from the media. Though. Again, here we go, California kids. Hey, no offense, people in California. It's cold for 9 months, okay? We're not outside all day. We have cable from about, I don't know, Colorado over to New York. We have cable. You don't. That's great. You guys boogie board in December. We don't. So everyone that says that they don't have cable, they're lying. Why is Time Warner Comcast the two?
Hello?
You're botting on us, Mooch.
You're ex-botting on us, bro.
I think Mooch
All
was
right.
going to say, buy American, buy the Xbox One because it's American. I'm not sure what the hell happened to Mooch's internet there for a second. I'm sure he'll bounce back. But I just want to say that, there's I've been getting a lot of hate over the last couple of days, over the last, I'd say, few days. And I think one of the main reasons is because Microsoft is hitting a lot of the right notes lately. And I'm really impressed with what they're doing. You see people... They're basically blocking a lot of what Sony's doing. Sony was like, hey, let's charge people to go online and play and stream their games. You know what I mean? Let's make them pay for that with that PlayStation Now stuff. Microsoft is like, no, well, guess what? We're going to give you backwards compatibility for free. So they kind of blocked them there and made Sony look stupid. Now Sony was like, hey, we're going to do an Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, but we're going to cut out the online. Then Microsoft was like,
Sorry, guys.
what the hell is that? I hear some music.
Who is
Oh,
that?
okay. But then Microsoft was like, that's Lebowski. Then Microsoft was like, hey, well, we're going to give you the Gears remaster or remake, whatever you want to call it, and then we're going to give you, if you buy this, we're going to give you the entire Gears collection backwards compatible for free, and you can play those online. So not only did Microsoft one-up them again, but they're letting you play all of them backwards compatible for free with all the full online for each of those games. So you can play any of them. You know what I mean? They're even doing that with Gears 1. You can get on Xbox One and play Gears 1 right now. And it looks great. It looks really good on Xbox One.
You know what I love about earlier you're talking about how Microsoft has what did you say, was it 700,000 or 800,000 servers?
I thought it was 300,000.
Oh,
300,000.
It's 800.
So
100,000.
all right, so
My bad.
They set up all those servers, right? And I'm glad because it's like they look ahead. They see what the future is, right? And another thing that I thought about was how they used GDDR3, the 8 gigabytes of it for the system, and a lot of people are questioning why GDDR3 and why not GDDR5. And I could look at the console and what it's doing now, and to me it's clear. Like even they've seen it. GDDR5 is mainly graphics based. It's used for graphics, and GDDR3 is multi-purpose. And like you were saying just a second ago, you can snap and do all these other things at the same time, and the PS4 can't. It's like Sony is like giving in to what the media expects its consoles should be, and then they kind of like trap themselves in this corner, like, shit, our console can't do this and that because we catered to what they think we should have, and now they can't do all these things because their console is built like shit.
We should tell them. We should just start saying that. Oh yeah, the PS4 gets the snap feature, because then they'll be waiting for it, like party chat, like the PS3. Because that they will wait for that shit. They'll like, oh yeah, the Xbox has it.
But they waited. The PS3 owners waited a whole generation to do that, didn't they?
It never came on the PS3. That's what I'm saying. It'd be hilarious, man. If you mess with them, it's like, yeah, your PS4 will snap. They'll believe it.
Mooch, did you make it back?
I've been back. I don't know what's going on. I got a little spotty thing going on. I actually have Time Warner coming to take a look at it next week.
Mooch has a Boost Mobile for internet. You're gonna have to forgive him.
I thought I had bad internet, but
No, my internet's good.
Oh, wait, hold on.
No,
that doesn't get drugs, man.
That doesn't get drugs.
Nice joke. Too much food.
But
What's really interesting was. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's been really interesting reading places like N4G and NeoGAF, because those places are basically madhouses over the past few days. Like, this is the thing with the Sony fanboy that I've noticed lately. If they don't have the best, or they can't say they have the best, like I seen someone get in an argument today. You probably know her. She's on Twitter, Mamacita. She goes by. She has PS4 and Xbox One. She was in an argument today, and I ended up in this even though I had the other dude blocked because somebody had said that Remedy Games was better than Naughty Dog, and Microsoft should buy them. And this dude just would not let it go. You know what I mean? It's like if they can't say they have the best everything, like even I was checking this thread on N4G about 1080p 60 frames per second for Metal Gear Solid 5, and people, the Sony fans, just could not believe it. They were like, well, we'll wait for the head-to-head. I'm sure Sony will have the advantage somehow. It's like if they don't have the advantage somehow, some way, that it invalidates their purchase. And guess what? The PS4 has a lot of inferior things. You know what I mean? And it's still, if you enjoy the PS4, then that doesn't stop you from enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean, and they did the same thing last gen. Look, you guys had the inferior thing. I got it. You paid $600 for a lesser console that you bought into a lot of promises. They bought into a lot of promises this generation too. And then I think that's a hard thing to deal with. I think, when you back something, or maybe somebody jumps ship and they're trying to, they always sound like when they're arguing with me about this stuff that they're trying to convince themselves more than me. You know what I mean? It's like, well, this, and this. It's like basically they're down to sales at this point. And, hey, shout out to the 200 plus people that are watching us now. What up, everybody?
What up, 200?
I really appreciate you guys joining us. Yeah, appreciate you guys joining us on a Thursday night. But yeah, they're always like, very, very insecure. And again, like people will be like, well, Crap Gamer, you're insecure because you're always talking this or that. I'm an entertainer. I like to entertain. I think I have a decent personality. I'm not politically correct. I say shit that probably offends everybody at some point, and I'm never sorry about that. But I'm at least me, and I've always been pro Xbox, and like I said on Big Gamer Small Talk last week, or a couple days ago actually after Gamescom, the Sony fanboys made me because I was just white bread doing reviews. I didn't care, just kind of trying to be straight-laced and play it cool. Then I did a video saying I'm buying an Xbox One because they had the games that I wanted, and got a lot of harassment, threats. I mean, who the hell threatens someone because they're picking an Xbox One over a PS4? And so at that point I was like, okay, I see how this is going to be, you douches. You know what I mean? This is what I really think, because I've always thought PlayStation Network was shit. I always preferred Xbox stuff, even though I was trying to be as straight and even as possible with my reviews and things like that. And still to this day I do that. If a game is good, I'll say, hey, it's good. If it's bad, I'll say, hey, it's bad. Like this Rare Replay is one of the most brilliant compilations I've ever played in my life. It's like, I imagine that's what a threesome or a foursome is like, right? Like you're like, oh my god, you're like, cool, this sounds great, and then you actually get to the point where you're about to do it, and then you're like, oh, you're overwhelmed with it. You know what I mean? This is what Rare Replay is like. You jump in there and you're like, holy shit, this is great, and then you're like, holy shit, what do you play? It's like you want to play this, then you want to play that, and 30 damn games for $30. It's like fantastic. And then not only is that 30 games, but just the way they present it. You can unlock video documents, right? It goes over, and it's so great. I really want to, like, on canceled games even, if they were going to do a kart racing game with all Rare characters called the Fast and the Furious, or Furriest. It looked great. It was probably going to be a 360 game. They were going to do Cameo 2. They were going to do a horror game. They had a lot of really cool stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can unlock in there. There's this thing called Snapshots where you can play games in a different way, like the Infinite Turbo Tunnel from Battletoads, and then if you beat that, like you gotta stay in the Turbo Tunnel for like 45 seconds or something like that. They give you different challenges and stuff, and it's really, really nice the way they've done it. I mean, the way they presented that is fantastic, and and to me, that's almost a rebirth of Rare. And I think there's a lot of hints in the documentaries and stuff. Like they flat out and say, hey, looks like they're going to be making another Battletoads, and that makes sense because they put Rash in Killer Instinct, which, by the way, he's a kick-ass character. Like, he's fantastic. But also, hold on one more second, too much food. But, like, in this documentaries and stuff, you hear information about games like, hey, they talk about Conquer, the making of that, and they're like, well, we probably wouldn't be the ones to make another Conquer game because we've changed. We're not those same people anymore. So they basically hinted if Conquer gets made, it wouldn't be by them, which is kind of what we know because we heard maybe Insomniac Games might be making or some other company. You know what I mean? And I get that because and another thing that this whole thing disproves too, they're talking to Rare members that built these games that still work for Rare, and then all the fanboys would say Microsoft ruined Rare. There's nobody old that works there. They have a whole ton of people that worked on these old games. You know what I mean? So I think
they retained 50% of their staff, right?
Well, I don't know how many it is, but they still have some really old school members, like people there from like the 80s and stuff. So like it's really interesting to sit back and see something like that, and it's going to keep me busy for a long time. But that's how you do it, right? I mean, that's what you do. Like I was playing Grab by the Ghoulies, one of my favorite original Xbox games, and it looks fantastic. It's widescreen. It still looks good. It looks better than like most arcade or indies nowadays. You know what I mean? It's just like that's the kind of value that I'm talking about when I'm talking about Xbox One.
Crap, did they do like a up-res on the Grab by the Ghoulies? Because it looks beautiful, man.
Doesn't it look damn good? It's like the best looking game on there. I'm like, holy shit, what did they do? But you know what? The original Xbox was a powerful machine, and so what they did was they made it widescreen, and I think they filtered it so that there's no jaggies and stuff, and it looks really good.
You guys tell me how do you remove the border?
From what game? You can remove it from some games, but not all.
I was playing Battletoads.
I think that has a border, bro.
Yeah, I think you gotta have a border on
it
that.
It didn't bother me whatsoever. I mean, listen, I grew up playing those games. Every one of those games. I sat there last night and I just played Battletoads for about 2 hours. And like, my wife comes downstairs, she's like, "How is it?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you how it is. I feel like a goddamn kid again." I'm like, "This is amazing." I'm like, I'm having a goddamn field day. I use the D-pad. I don't use the left analog stick. I mean, think about it. All the controllers we had as kids growing up, not Food. Food was born like 6 days ago. But like,
I'm probably the second oldest here.
I got socks older than you. But what I was gonna say, like literally, like that. We only had a D-pad. You know what I mean? So to be able to actually play it again, because I mean, it's funny. People made such a big deal about the 360 D-pad. Who gives a shit about the D-pad in the 360 era? I was using the left analog stick for every game. They're like, oh no, well the PS4, PS3, the DualShock 3, the DualShock 4 is such a better D-pad. I'm like, what the fuck game are you guys playing? I know a lot of people play like a Killer Instinct or fighting games. I do get that because again, that's reverting back to the old school days when we were playing them on our SNESs or Genesis. You were playing with the D-pad, but realistically, you don't do that. So like for me, I use a D-pad on the Xbox controller for navigating menus or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not really.
And you know what's another fun fact that I just learned earlier today? Not only does Xbox One play Xbox One games, and we're getting a lot of support for 360 games, but the Xbox One has more Nintendo 64 games than that of even the Wii U now.
I saw that today. You know what? The one thing that I do kind of don't understand is why they used the N64 Conquer game. I understand that it's like less edited, but I think that the original Xbox one would have been better because it looks so much better. You know what I mean?
It's probably on the way.
Maybe it's because it's probably on the way, or well, he thinks it's DLC, but I'm thinking maybe like an entire remake.
You know what? I could see that, okay. But yeah, the original Conquer, like the one on Xbox, looks great. I played it not too long ago, and I think it looks great still, like for original Xbox, just because Rare style looks good. You know, like I said, like Grab by the Ghoulies looks fantastic. I'm sitting there playing that, and I'm like, holy crap, this is it's still fun. It's great, and I can get achievements for it now. So it's like it's all good. You know, and I'm really enjoying it. Like it's just like it's so great. You know, it's like
they're gonna put Rare to work. I'm telling you, man. They are. Phil's a gamer, and he's gonna be like, why haven't we used Rare yet? Like
I love his I love what Phil's doing. Like obviously this he's turned it around. You know, I mean, obviously some of this stuff was Don Matrick or whatever that was kind of, I guess they had this vision or whatever, but I think that credit goes to Phil for turning it around. And also props to him for speaking out a little bit about, you know, some of the misinformation. Like people were thinking that Sony basically gets handed these marketing deals and exclusives because the PS4 is leading the market share, and Phil spoke up and said that's not the case. No. Sony's got to pay for these. You know what I mean? No matter how much market share you have, you still have to pay for these. Just think about last gen, where the Xbox 360 was so far ahead, especially in North America, yet Sony still had marketing deals with Batman and Assassin's Creed and a lot of games. It's because you have to pay for them. You know what I mean?
And one of the things that I talked about a couple of days ago was that But by Microsoft no longer paying for these deals, you know, for like Call of Duty and stuff like that, Sony didn't get it by default. It was whoever was gonna pay. Fucking Kmart could have gotten the deal if they wanted, you know, if they were just gonna pay. So it has nothing to do with their market share. It's just who has money and who's willing to pay for it. And right now, Sony has got themselves in a bad corner because their whole company sucks as a whole. The only division making money is the PlayStation division, but the phone division is losing so much money and that it's canceling that out. And on top of that, think about this. Sony has the Destiny deal, the Call of Duty deal, the Battlefield deal. I forget what deals the Batman deal, if I didn't say that already.
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed deal. Like, they're, instead of saving money or using it for games, because fucking call me crazy when you have a game console, God forbid you use your money for games, but instead they're using it for deals with fucking Red Bull so you can get exclusives on Destiny and shit. Like,
all that stuff eventually is going to come to Xbox anyway, so like, to me,
they're trapping themselves in a corner.
It's kind of wasteful. Yeah, and you know what? Like last gen, that was something that I hated because, like I bought Call of Duty. I bought in every one except for, I'm not going to buy this year's, but I never bought the DLC. So like the DLC thing never made much difference to me. I was like, well, why didn't they like invest a little bit more in first party? And I know that was Don Matrick. So I'm glad that they're kind of focusing on the first party stuff now. Like for me, that Gamescom, which was mostly first party, exclusive stuff, and there's no question. Like, how like there was question over Tomb Raider, is it ever going to go to PlayStation? Blah blah blah. I don't like those kind of things. We know Scalebound's not going to PlayStation. We know Quantum Break's not going to PlayStation. We know that what the hell is the other Crackdown? I mean, all these are IPs owned by Microsoft. That's what they need to do going forward, and that's what I like that Phil Spencer's implementing, is that there's no there's no wiggle room there. It's never going to happen. If you're a PlayStation dude and you want to get these games, you got to get an Xbox One and stop fighting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like if you're an Xbox dude and stuff comes out on PlayStation and you really like that, then just get one. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Although I can't at this point in time say that there's a reason to get a PlayStation 4, but maybe that's not always the way. Like, it goes both ways. If there's a bunch of stuff that you like on something, then get it. Stop like just being dicks about it and hard-headed. You know what I mean? It's like, no matter what it is, I see people like, oh, well, this isn't enough. This isn't enough. Like, I remember like people saying, well, Titanfall's not enough. Well, Master Chief Collection of Sunset Overdrive's not enough. Tomb Raider's not enough. Halo 5's not enough. You know what I mean? It's like they want all the games, but they hate the console. You know what I mean? It's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like, that's not enough for me to get an Xbox, but they got petitions for every one of those fucking games.
Every damn game, man. Now they even got petition. I seen a petition that they want. What do they want? They want Xbox One or they want something to do with like, they want them to do backwards compatibility on the PS4 with Xbox 360 games or something like that. It was like something ridiculous because they're like, a lot of Xbox 360 games jump ship, and now we want to play our 360 games on the PS4, so you should help Sony achieve that. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck real. You know what I mean? Come on.
You know what I thought about? You know what I thought? What I seen earlier today actually was the whole. I know you say you don't like to talk about the whole Tomb Raider and when it's coming out, if it's coming out for Sony. But the thing is that somebody brought up the argument about, well, then why are you thinking that it's so bad? But I don't see you complaining about Street Fighter V being an exclusive for Sony. And then a lot of people are saying it's because Sony is better, because Sony paid them, because Sony this and that. No, it's actually because Capcom wanted Microsoft to let you cross-play with people on the PS4. That Microsoft didn't want to, and a lot of people are trying to give them shit for that. And I'm thinking, how could this be a bad thing? Like, why would you think that Microsoft is the bad guy for not wanting to cross-play with them on the PS4? And that Yoshida said that he's totally for that. I'm like, of fucking course he's for that, because his shit servers would don't have the capabilities to provide good service, so of course he wants to be able to have PS4 players use Xbox Live servers. Like, that's some sneaky ass shit.
Well, what it does is it takes down it would give maybe Sony some of the inner workings of what's going on with Xbox Live, and I don't think Microsoft would want that. That's why they don't
that's
really.
What I'm saying. That's so sneaky. Like, you can't be doing that. You can't be that desperate.
Well, yeah, and Microsoft is allowing stuff between like PC and Xbox. I can see that, because it's both Microsoft. Um, but yeah, like crossplay with PS4, I don't ever see that happening just because, they're incompatible. It's like it's day and night. It'd be a lot of trouble.
Hell
And
yeah, they incompatible. I ain't playing multiplayer with no
Yeah,
fucking ass pirates. Hell no. Get
yeah,
on the PlayStation Network and just stay over there, be negative, be rude. What was they doing last year? Like threatening the developer, the actress for Laura
yeah,
Croft.
they threatened her.
I
Yeah.
ain't trying to play nothing with y'all, man. Go on, man.
And the thing is that like what? Let's say it did happen, right? What are you gonna do when you want to play with your friend who has a PS4? He's gonna be like, "Hold on, I'm trying to get online." And like 45 minutes later, he's gonna be like, "Hold on, it's still maintenance. Hold on." I'm not
Yeah,
gonna fucking wait 45 minutes to play.
Well,
That
this
share play
latest-
function they had went by the way of the dodo bird, didn't it? Nobody
Yeah.
talks about that garbage.
You know why? Is because developers weren't really supporting it as much. You know what I mean? It was like you have to support it, and then
Well, yeah,
and a
think
lot
about it.
more.
All Microsoft's asking with backwards compatibility is they're saying, hey, these people already bought these games, and if they didn't, they're going to go out and buy the games. You're going to get more money for
Activision,
them.
you fuckers.
Exactly. But the share play concept is pure idiocracy. No developer or publisher wants that. Hey, crap, you buy a game, and then every hour, just do me a favor, set an alarm clock on your microwave. Every hour, I want you to go over and refresh it so I can play the game for free from my house.
Yeah. Hey, if you play the order, you only have to do that 4 times. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
that's right.
it's like, yeah, it's like, damn, and most of that is like walking. It's a walking simulator. That's what that shit is. But yeah,
It's Journey. You got confused with Journey. Journey.
Oh, okay. No. The order does that too.
Oh, is it?
You literally just walk. Like, I mean, that's what takes up a lot of time, and you can't skip the cutscenes because then that game would literally be probably an hour and 30 minutes. You know what I mean? There's only that much action in that game. The rest is walking and cutscenes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, I mean, it's it's really bad. Like, I've never seen as much damage control as with that game or like Godzilla. Remember the lists? I mean, we get these lists all the time. Yeah, the lists, and it's like, it's like, well, damn, man. Look, just because you can name 100 indies doesn't mean that there's more games on the PS4. It just means Sony is allowing a bunch of shovelware. The Wii had a bunch of shovelware too and a shit ton of games, but I'm sure that none of us were playing 7-Up kart racing. So it's true. You know what I'm saying?
What about that Burger King game? Wasn't
I
that
have
on
those.
Yeah.
I have all three. I have all three of those. I bought them. That's because those were the promotional games that came out with that when the 360 launched. I mean, that was huge. You know what I mean? You could get these games they were like $2.99 or something.
Isn't that literally like the only shovelware item on the 360? Period?
No, there's a lot of shovelware. I mean, there is. There's a lot of the Kinect stuff with shovelware. All stuff.
What do you mean? I love doing this.
Dude, well, this is the thing. Like, there was some decent Kinect games, but there were some really bad ones too. And I can understand that. I wish they would have put some of the Kinect games that were on the 360 on the Xbox One, like the Fable one was pretty good. Maybe the Kinect, since it's stronger on the Xbox One, would actually work better for stuff like Steel Battalion. Well, Steel Battalion, guess who made that? From Software. So I'm kind of surprised that it sucks as bad as it does. It just doesn't, it's difficult. You know what I mean? Like, because you have to do kind of preciser movements, and the Xbox 360's Kinect has no processor of itself like the Xbox One does. So it doesn't read your movements as good, and you get fucked up in that game easy. But I could see that game working really well on. Same thing with Star Wars Kinect. That game was fun, except for like the jumping part. I'm like, damn, why does it got to be so much jumping, man? I got like a 1-inch vertical leap. You know what I mean? Sounds like the goddamn house is crashing down. So it's like, I was like, why do they have to add jumping in this game? But yeah, so I would love to see some of that stuff on there. But other than that, man, I think that like I've never been happier as an Xbox One owner, than the past few days, just because there's always something nice about being right. And for now that the original stuff is coming out, and Xbox One is, it just looks so much better now. The most powerful console, thanks to the cloud and a very small connection, because it can do a lot of stuff. And the thing
only
is,
person that can't play it is Mooch.
Yeah, well, no, Mooch has a good connection most of the time. But check this out.
I've literally got, it's like a week I've had like just shitty internet. I'm having work done on my house, so I've got Time Warner coming over to take care of that. Thank you, food.
But check this out, all right? Like, I see people stretching with this, right? They're like, well, Red Faction had destruction, but this is what happened with games like Red Faction, right? They had predetermined destruction. If you look at the different replays of Crackdown 3 today, and a lot of different sites had their own different separate demos for this game, when you shoot down different things, they go in different directions depending on what you do. So it's totally unscripted. If you look at some of the destruction in like the Battlefield games or any games like that that have destruction, it's pre-scripted. You know what I mean? Because that's easy to do. You don't have the you don't have the and I see, you know what, and Xbox dudes, take it easy on this stuff, right? Like, they're all pissed off, like, oh, well, how come there's no destruction in the single player? Look, they're taking a chance and doing something with this IP because they can. I don't think they wanted to like take the chance with this in Halo to start off with. You know what I mean? You want to test it in something like Crackdown, and I can see why. And then the multiplayer, you would basically have to dev 2 different games to do destruction in the in the single player, and you would have to be online, and people would bitch that they didn't want an online game. You know what I mean? What about us? We don't have an internet connection. Well, I would say fuck you to the ones that don't have an internet connection. You know what I mean? I think that it's the future. This stuff is what I'm interested in. When I'm talking about I wanted a next-gen console with next-gen features and next-gen game, this is moving in the future. PS4 is holding back the Xbox One. And now let's not forget, remember no parity? All that whole hashtag no parity bullshit last year when Assassin's Creed was 900p on both. Guess what? I don't want parity between the Xbox One and PS4 on third-party games. I want, Battlefield Call. I want all the games to use Azure servers, whether it be for damage, whether it be for just the games themselves to have dedicated servers, real dedicated servers, But you don't see that because it's such an advantage for the Xbox One. And let's face it, because the Xbox One's the better platform and can do these things and Sony's can't. You know what I mean? So I'm against parity in all forms. I don't give a shit about 900p versus 1080p. I want dedicated servers and damage and destruction and all this shit. That stuff is appealing to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know how you go ahead.
Me too, man. I feel the same way. Like, where does it go moving forward? With third-party games, if Microsoft now has this ability, and I'm talking about it, it almost seems unreal. I'm thinking about that Crackdown demo. Like, he's talking about these particles falling from the building or in real time. They're really there. This is shit that is mind-blowing from a programming standpoint. And it's like, where do you go from there? Like, Sony, this PlayStation Network is horrible. You have, they don't have the cloud. I mean, I guess Gaikai, but I mean, how does this work out moving forward? And I think that this is going to be a huge deal, man. Because when we just talked really about Crackdown, the cloud, and a few other things. Like, we got Forza coming up next month. We got Gears of War coming this month. We have Rise of the Tomb Raider this year. I mean,
Halo 5, that's the big one for me.
And like the update for the Xbox, like this thing's getting revamped. Like this,
and you know what sucks, Dick, is that they're trying to show you like what Crackdown can do, and they're like, look at the buildings fall apart, and look at this and that, look at this happen in real time and shit, and they're not fascinated by it by the least bit, right? But when they're talking about, look at this grass, and look at these mountains in No Man's Sky. They're like, oh my God, it's beautiful. Like, oh yeah, like
The Last Guardian. That shit is the worst. Is that these motherfuckers actually? It's like you're saying, like they were seeing real live destruction, and they want to, just whatever with that. And let's beat around the bush as much as we can. Let's go to NeoGAF and read some forums to have our minds made up for us. But when we see this fucking possum that was with feathers that was shown years and years ago. And it's bullshit. You see it again, and somehow that's the reason why I'm a damn Xbox fanboy. It's crazy to me.
It is, and you know what? It's funny is how can people twist this? I don't understand how this can be twisted as a bad thing. To me, this is moving the industry forward. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. It's like 100% destruction has never been done before in this way, and I'm excited for it. And we get it, the multiplayer portion at least next summer. So I think that's something that we can all look forward to. It's not something that's like super distant. We'll get that before the PS4 gets Uncharted 4. Book that, mark that shit down. I guarantee it. We'll play Crackdown with the cloud online, at least the multiplayer portion, before Sony and their PS4 drones get Uncharted 4. Lock it in. I'm guaranteeing it. And I'm usually, hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I admit it. You know what I'm saying? I've been right a lot, though. I was right about this. I was right about Metal Gear Solid. I was right about Metal Gear Solid back being 720p, which, by the way, you play that damn, what is that, Phantom Pain or Ground Zeroes, the demo that they have on Xbox Live for free this month.
I'm not even gonna play it when it's free.
It's gorgeous. You know what? I heard someone say that well, this is just a conspiracy theory. I don't know. You know, rumor has it, so file it under that. That since Kojima's out, that's why they managed to get the Xbox One version to do even better. Yeah. Is because he's not an Xbox guy. He doesn't like Xbox, so he kind of half-assed it, which kind of goes in line with what I said last year. You remember I got a lot of hate for saying that they really didn't care about the Xbox American audience. You know what I'm saying? I said it in a crass way, mind you. You know what I mean? There's a lot of screenshots of that. Like seriously though, man. I mean, come on, man. Like, oh, crap, gamers are racist, man. You know what I mean? Like seriously.
It's got nothing to do with race. It's all about, Blackie will tell you this much. It's all about numbers, okay? And numbers don't lie. And you can never, ever convince me today, tonight, tomorrow, the day after, that a country, not a state, not a province, not a road, a country of Japan bought 110 Xbox Ones. Don't tell me that there's something in that country from the government down that says don't buy American. Take a flight if you don't believe me. Go over there, and when you come back, count on one hand how many Chevys you see over there. How many Fords? And we have small compact cars now, so don't give me that crap where they're like, well, American muscle cars don't fit. Yeah, they're really big. They're doing great. That's the headquarters. No, they don't have anything over there. They have like 8 Cadillacs. They don't have anything over there. There's no American cars.
That's double their sales from the year before.
That's correct.
Which was 4.
It is double the 4 Fords. But what I'm trying to say is, like, literally, they don't support our country, and that's what really baffles my mind when I have a conversation with somebody and they're like, well, I just, Japanese are way better than our country. They make a lot. You know what? Go live over there. Do me a personal favor and just go live over there for a little while. Can't wait to have you come back. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be back in a heartbeat. Like, stop making fun of this country's products. Go out there. There's a lot of people from PlayStation that converted over to Xbox in the past few months, and I'm seeing it on Twitter, and they're like, in all honesty, they're like, I was a huge Sony fan. My friends, and listening to you guys, it convinced me to take the plunge. I bought an Xbox One, and I'm having a fantastic time enjoying a media center / game center in my house. And I say this right now. We're going into the holiday season, all right, everybody. It's mid-August already for all practice. It's gonna be mid-August. We're going into the holiday season. Go buy an Xbox One this holiday. They're actually giving you something to play this year. And try it out. If you have a PS4, go get an Xbox One. If you're on the fence, try the Xbox first. Literally, I'm on Twitter. These guys are all on Twitter. Hit us up. Tell us what you think about it. To be honest with you, you're going to be very happy. It does a lot of things you like, entertainment and games. And it has games. Figure that one out. It actually has games. So
a console that has games. Who'd have thunk it, right?
Who would have thought that? Because that was the biggest thing. What was the big 2013 release reveal that was the big uh-oh? Oh my God, Microsoft, TV, no games. And then Microsoft's the only one showing games. Gamescom.
Yeah,
no Sony.
It seems like they actually care, because I went to business school, and I mean, me and Chief, you might know him. He's somebody we game a lot on Xbox Live. He went to business school too, and you learn a little bit about this. But unless you get into like studying for your masters and you're studying overseas, abroad, or anything, Japan has a lot. Their culture is very different. So whenever you're leaving feedback over here on the Xbox, at least somebody's reading it who gives a fuck. Like, their business culture is completely different. I don't know how. I can't speak for it because I've never been there. I can't speak the language. It'd be ignorant for me to do that. But it's very different. And it seems like it's not anti-consumer, but it's definitely, it seems like they don't give a shit. For example, I had, whenever Sony lost my credit card when SOCOM launched back in the day, like, I mean, they really didn't give a shit. It's like I said earlier about Warhawk. I spent a lot of times in the forums and, Sony, please fix this. It was ignored the entire time. It was really frustrating. But with Microsoft, for example, I didn't like the Batman game. Excuse me, do not go crazy. The Batmobile was just not my thing. I called Microsoft, And this is real talk. They fucking refunded $64.19 in my bank account the next day. And to me, that's like, just from a business standpoint, and have learning things from the past. I can't fuck with Sony on that level, man.
So Sony doesn't refund their stuff. Like there's been confirmed reports of people who have their accounts hacked and had money ran up, and Sony's like, hey, nope, we're not going to refund it. And if you go to your bank, guess what? We're going to ban your account, which means you can't access your digital games. Microsoft, on the other hand, like I did, and I think I explained this the other day, I ordered Rare Replay from the Microsoft store, right? I like physical games, so I ordered that because they did a thing. You get a $10 Xbox Live card, so I was like, cool. So I ordered it. I get an email saying we couldn't complete that transaction. You know what I'm saying? Please call up. So I call them up. I'm like, okay, I got this error. It says I couldn't complete it. Can I? I want to order it. And they're like, okay, we'll order it for you right now. So I order it, and that one goes through and shows up. Then the day before, it shows up that boom, I'm getting sent 2 copies, and I got charged twice. So I was like, what the hell? So I called them up. Boom. Before I even sent the second copy back, they refunded my money. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That's to me the difference. I've had all kinds of issues with PlayStations before, and even back in the day, right? If you had a fat PlayStation 3 that was backwards compatible, and that thing did the yellow light of death, which is the equivalent of the red ring of death, but never got as much talked about. Even though I think that my original launch PS3 yellow lighted of death 3 times. But the problem is, if you ever sent that into Sony after the Slim came out, they wouldn't send you back yours. They would send back the newer one. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't backwards compatible, so you would get ripped off.
Oh, they stripped the shit out of those systems from the Fat Boy. But what's really fucked up with their account system? I remember MAG. Do you guys remember MAG? The whole 256 multiplayer,
massive action game with no offline mode, and then they took it offline like 2 years later.
Yeah, check this out, guys. So you know how you had Valor, Sever, and one other one I can't remember, Raven. That was the 3 factions. You could only pick one faction. Well, I went ahead and bought. Because you had to pay money to be able to fucking play in different factions. And these fuckers charged me, like the next year, I had like $2.99. Like, this game was so dead. You know what I mean? Nobody was even talking about it. Like, it was like really dead. And they're charging me for this shit. That's what I'm saying. That is outrageous.
Yeah. Well, that was a game. That was a game that never really never really fulfilled the promises. They're like massive, like 256-person battles, and I think that was like one game mode. And I was like, you were never like really, it never felt like you were in that kind of action to begin with. It was just like little pockets here and there. You know what I mean? Just how they did it.
And what's really strange about unfulfilled promises is that this the PS3. Remember when before the console even launched, right? They had the PS3 with like 3 HDMI ports and all, like.
Oh, you were going to be able to run it on two different TVs, 120 frames per second. In fact, they needed to come out with specific TVs because the TVs weren't invented at that time to run their games the way they were supposed to. 1080p on everything, 120 frames per second.
But nobody said a word, bro.
The big kicker for me was when they said that Rumble in the controllers was last gen, and so they weren't going to do it, right? And I mean, come on, and people actually believed it. Like, I can remember some stuff that was like, I was like kind of good on N4G at that time. People were like, wait a minute, Rumble is next gen. It's like, it's unbelievable for me how quickly people will like buy into what a company says, like hook, line, and sinker. Like, I agree. Wait, you know what I'm saying? If you weren't going to believe in the cloud at first, okay, fine. But now we're getting a game that does it. We've seen multiple outlets do this. So now's the time for Microsoft to be pimping this, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now's the time where if you were against this and said it wasn't true, guess what? Go ahead and eat that crow a little bit. It's going to be better to do it now than when we're all enjoying this game next year. Look, Sony dropped the ball. They're leading in Europe. They're playing it lazy. How you PlayStation 4 gamers and owners don't feel neglected at this point is beyond me, because right now, what news has Sony made this entire year? What games have they released this entire year outside of Bloodborne that is
now that Dark Souls 3 is being advertised, Bloodborne looks like its little baby brother. doesn't
Yeah,
it? I mean,
exactly.
it looks like they were like, oh, look, we gave something to Sony. Here you go, guys. Here's a little popsicle before dinner. Like, literally, they've made nothing but empty promise after empty promise. They've done it for multiple E3s now. They've been promising Uncharted without a release date. Nobody has any idea when the hell. They still have no idea when that's coming
Hey, they'll
out.
probably close next year's E3 with Uncharted 4 again.
Well, I think they're going to actually have my prediction is next year at E3 they're going to have Ron Burgundy come out on stage and read the prompter, and he'll be like, the Last Guardian? Like literally, like, because there's no Last Guardian coming, people.
No,
There's
your
nothing
channel will be
coming.
out way before that comes out.
Absolutely, I got a lot of time.
Yeah, you do.
You know what? I'm scrapping everything. I'm going back to the videotape. I'm going back to the chalkboard. I don't get started. We got plenty of time. No, literally, I said this on BGST. I'll say it again here. I'll say it again on next year's predictions for E3. All Sony's going to do is put a picture up or a short CGI and be like, coming soon. And everyone's like,
yep.
It's like the 1980s when Michael Jackson was on stage and they showed the audience and people were like fainting in the aisles. That's what happens when Sony says something. There's like people are on top of each other, girls are flashing. What's his name? Sean Layden. They're flashing him. Someone's lighting a match
Jeff
in the
Keighley's
back row.
flashing.
Literally, it is just, and it's lie after lie after lie. You have no games, no features. The PS3 UI is the same PS3 UI. You had all 7 years of that.
Hey,
console
speaking
life.
of that, the Xbox 360, I don't know if you guys still have yours, but just get an
Absolutely.
update if you're in the preview member and gets a new tile type UI like the Xbox One has. It's
Yes.
like they're still updating the Xbox 360 all the 10 years later.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's still shitting on the PS3, and the PS4 will never get a new UI. So you guys
the
get used to that.
PS4's UI is from the same one on the PSX from 2003.
It is. It's the same thing. So buckle in and get used to that because you're not getting anything updated than that. And it's like Sony gets away with so much, right? Like people thought Microsoft when they come out there, the Xbox One, that they would abandon the 360 totally, and they didn't. Right, and they're like, well, they did it with the original Xbox, not realizing like you can look back and see that the chipset and that they stopped producing it, so they were getting a major loss on everyone produced, so that's why they stopped that. The 360, exact opposite. You have like 50 million Xbox Live users. As they're making money on every sale. Even they're selling something like 100,000 a month still, which is probably right along the Wii U terms, and as far as sales go here in the U.S. So. That's why they're still supporting that. They support their things. You know what I mean? It's still getting a Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's still going to get your Madden and Call of Duty, which fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, but they're supporting it. That shows that they're in it for the long haul. Sony, on the other hand, where's the hate for the Vita? This thing was like a, $300, $400 handheld that literally is getting no support less than 2 years, 3 years in. When was the last AAA Sony first-party game on that? And nobody's talking about it. But what's even more interesting is the Vita gets the same support as the PS4. They have the same type of exclusives. Both will have an Uncharted game. Both have a Little Big Planet game. Both have a Killzone game. Both have Tearaway. You know what I'm saying? It's the fucking Vita. Both rely on indies. Both rely on these shitty ports. You know what I'm saying?
What the Vita is? The Vita is Ouya portable.
It is. It's terrible. And the thing is, it's good tech, but they're not supporting it, and nobody's giving them any hate for that. What's up with that? Why are people smart enough not to buy the Vita for getting shit support, but they're too stupid to not do the same thing with the PS4?
25 million sold, baby. 25.
Yeah, 25 million sales.
It's all about the fraternity. It's all about the fraternity right now.
25 million sales, I guess that means that, man, I wish that would be a game. Like, where's the game? 25 million sales. I can put that shit on. I actually have something to play because as of right now, I got Knack, Killzone, Infamous, Drive Club, The Order 1886, and none of those games are any good. They're terrible. Those are some of the worst games I've ever played. I'd rather go back and play Atari 2600 games. I'd rather play E.T. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather give myself a rectal exam than play any of those games. They're terrible.
Let me ask you guys a question now. Like, do you think that this 25 million sold is a good thing or a bad thing? Because it seems like a really good thing, 25 million sold, but like you have Scalebound, you have the Crackdown, you have all the games we got coming this year, you have the features, the updates, the Snap feature. We can go even as far as in detail as to say, like, the volume. You can say connect volume up or Xbox volume up. I hope your Xbox does not volume up, by the way. And you can set the increments so it's from 2 to 10. Like, I mean, that's how detailed the system is. And I'm thinking,
He's done.
fuckers versus 25 million, because it seems to me like some people are going to see what's going on.
You're using Virgin Mobile.
Yeah, Lebowski's botting out there for a second. He is a robot. But anyway, just you there? Are you there, Lebowski?
I'm here, man. What's up? Did it cut out?
Yeah, it was cut. You were botting up a little bit like a robot.
Okay. So where was I at? Basically, what I was saying is, I think 25 million could end up hurting the PlayStation 4 in the long run because they're delivering so little against the competition, Microsoft, who's delivering so much. There's only so much time you can fool people, and I think that 25 million sold, it might be the shit this generation. But like, you think of the Wii
Yes.
U, how much help did that shit get from the Wii sales, or how much did the PS3? How much help did that get from the PS2 sales? And that's what I'm saying. They're not offering a new format. There's no CD or a DVD or a Blu-ray. It seems to me like we were coming off a very stagnant, long last generation with the 360, the PS3. There were a lot of people who were ready to get a new console because that was, I think, the longest generation there had ever been as far as consoles go. So you had all these folks wanting to get something new. They had their 360s for 7 years. They're like, let's get something new. And Microsoft blundered. You have the social media impact of things were literally like it's like one stop for gamers. Like somebody was mentioning some shit the other day, and he was talking about DRM or something, like, this week. I'm like, wow. But somebody like this can make an impact, even if it's really small. But you have all these things factored in, and, you can fool some people sometime, but you can't fool them all the time. And I think it's gonna hurt the fuck out of somebody. All these sales, and you ain't giving people shit, and you're broke.
Yeah. And the thing is that you brought up a good point, but I was gonna use the Wii as an example as well. Like, the Wii had such a big install base, and a lot of the developers thought, hey, we can get these really good games out there. For example, I'm gonna use Sega. Sega created Mad World. Mad World, I think, is the most underrated game ever made by Sega because it's a really good game, but nobody fucking bought that game.
I bought it for $5.
Yeah, I honestly think it sold. Maybe I think I could be wrong and pulling the numbers out my ass, but I have an old Game Informer magazine from like 9 years ago. I'm exaggerating, but anyways, I think it was like 30,000, and the Wii, had over 100 million sold. Almost nobody bought that. Why? Because grandmas ain't gonna buy Mad World. Grandpas ain't gonna buy Mad World. Your mom isn't gonna buy Mad World. And the thing is that developers started to see, hey, I'm gonna stop making serious games for this console because these gamers aren't really that big of a gamer, so I'm going to start making more serious games, intense games, higher quality products for the 360 and the PS3. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with the PS4 because they're going to see that people on the PS4 ain't buying fucking these games that should be getting bought because they're busy playing fucking soccer cars and so these developers are starting to come with Microsoft and make these deals for exclusives and make their games to sell on this console. Like, the games are doing pretty damn well for a little over half of what Sony has.
Well,
so
let's
I think
be
it's
real.
going to benefit Xbox.
Let's be real here for a second. When you think of PlayStation and the games, like, people buy PlayStations for Gran Turismo, Uncharted, God of War, Sly Cooper, you know what I'm saying, Jack and Daxter, Resistance. These are games that people buy PlayStation for, and none of these have made it to the PlayStation and won't until at least 3 to 4 years down the road after the launch. When you think Xbox, you think obviously Halo. You get one a year and a half into launch. You know what I'm saying? Forza, we'll have one every year. This is our third one. I mean, this new one looks fantastic. I was seeing some screenshots today. Holy shit. You know what I mean? Those guys are masters. You're able to get the best looking racing game on a console out the door at 1080p 60 frames per second with weather, with nighttime driving. That's fucking fantastic. 450 premium cars, not that Gran Turismo bullshit where you're still using PS2 renders and you can't do cockpit view. You know what I mean? I'm talking premium stuff where they've redone everything. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Microsoft has shown that the Xbox One is the future-proof platform. The PS4 is looking more retro by the day. Sure, it had more power up front, but guess what? We're less than 2 years in, and Xbox One has already closed the gap for the resolution bullshit, exceeding the gap with stuff like cloud implementation, Azure dedicated servers, updating the online. They're actually listening to what we want. We can vote on which games we want backwards compatible as long as it's not Activision, because those guys are cockmongers. But you know what I'm saying? We're the ones that are doing the feedback. We wanted a more hardcore controller. They gave us a controller that's better than any SCUF controller. You know what I mean? And for $100 cheaper.
Aaron said a few times the tweets during Gamescom. He said a lot of people were like, Aaron, thank you for this. Aaron, thank you for that. He goes, in case nobody doesn't believe me, we are listening to you. You know, like he's tweeted that out 2 or 3 times. And I said it a long time ago.
He follows me on Twitter. I talk to him. I inbox him.
I'll say this again.
Follows me.
Nice work, Food.
I'm sorry. I just had to brag about it. I'll go away.
That's all right. What I was going to say to you was, in all honesty, what you got with the PS4, when you open that box, that's what you get. That's what you're getting, folks. So don't feel like if you buy a PS4 in 2 years from now, you missed out on the last 2 years. You haven't missed shit. Whatever's in that, Sony knew what Microsoft had coming. They know they can't compete. That's why these rumors are all very true. And the fact that Sony went out and they pulled that they only were going to have 4 gig of RAM. Okay, I think it was. Is that right? Crap. They had 4, and then they found out Microsoft was going to have 8. And they went and doubled down. So
they were like, because the GDDR5 was expensive, and then it had a price drop really close to launch, and they were like,
exactly, it was last second they put the GDDR5 in. So my point is this, like you said, out of the gate, literally, bang, they were a little bit better. Now, that's over. It is over. The SDKs are out. You have the DX12 SDKs. These SDKs do a lot of the enhancements and the work that before developers had to do. Now the lazy devs don't have a reason. They throw this code in.
It's automated. It's like
automated.
Do this, do boop, boop, boop. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like a fucking monkey could do it. You know what I mean? It's like it's automated. That's how stupid some of these. And look, people didn't believe that. Look, and I even said this last gen. Developers are lazy. They did lazy ports on PS3. They did lazy ports on 360, and they're doing it still this generation. You know what I mean? And that sucks because that's their job. You know, that's one thing I always expect from people. Like, when shit falls over or whatever at a grocery store, I'm not going to pick it up because they're paying people to pick it up. That's their job. I'm not going to do their job.
No,
you know what I mean?
Crap.
Developers' job is to fucking code games. Yeah, let them, you know what I'm saying? They're the ones hustling for $8 an hour. You know, let them, you know, have some fun doing their job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do mine. You know, I don't expect people to come in there and tell me how to train dogs. You know what I'm saying? I do my fucking job. That's my job. You know, their job is to do that. Developers' jobs is to fucking develop a proper game for the consoles or whatever have you that they're developing for. I don't give a shit about the troubles, the difficulties. They should do the best job they can every single time. Every time.
If you're financially hurting, that makes that a problem. It just makes it a problem, and Sony has that problem, and that's where I draw the line, and I say, okay, where is my investment the safest? These consoles are starting at $400, $60 a pop for a game, and you know the journey begins. By the end of it, you're looking at a couple of $1,000s at a bare minimum. And whenever you have a company like Sony, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the chat pad for the Xbox kind of, you know, started up this idea, but they still don't have a fucking media remote for the PlayStation 4.
It's they have one.
They announced it.
It's made by a third-party member, so it's not even made by Sony. Yet again, another thing that they don't have to pay for.
They have. That's what I'm saying. The PlayStation 1 had one. The PS2 did. The PS3. This is the first time I've ever seen a Sony console not have a dedicated media remote. And then I'm at Target the other day, and if you notice this, the DualShock 3 and the DualShock 4 controllers are essentially in the same packaging. They're essentially in the same packaging. There's not too much difference. If you look at the 360 and the Xbox One game controllers that you hold in your hand, the official Xbox ones, they are packaged differently. You can tell that a new advertising campaign. Like, it's like that. Sony really don't give a shit because I don't know. As far as advertising, marketing, whenever you can't even change the packaging up on a new product that defines the next generation, you got some issues. But when it comes to game development, that's what I'm saying. You get Knack, you get Killzone.
It looks like they
could have that Twisted Metal, and I'll consider it. But until then,
let me ask you guys this: what do you think is going to happen with Sony? Do you think that they're going to come back from where they are now and continue to grow as a company? Do you think that they will die off, and before they die off, they sell off the PlayStation, spin off PlayStation?
Japan won't let them die off, and they've already spun off everything but PlayStation pretty much. So like I remember like one of their biggest investor wanted them to spin off PlayStation, and Sony was like, no. But this is the thing, Japan like bails them out a lot. If you check into their history or whatever, like they've helped them out tremendously. They have junk credit status, but I think that what they should be doing is double downing with the games, right? Like. I think any gamer will agree that we buy these consoles for the exclusives, and then the rest is just kind of gravy. Sony should have doubled down on their exclusives. The fact that they kill off IPs and are taking the cheaper kind of route, you know what I mean, is kind of upsetting. If you're a gamer that's still holding on to the belief that the PS4 will get exclusives like the PS3, you know, just look at the marketing deals. You're just going to see it's not true. Sony's going to go with marketing deals and indies to kind of fill the gap, you know, and as good as you guys think some of these indies are, they're not, and they're not for everybody. None of us bought, you know, a PlayStation for Rocket Cars or Ethan Carter. We didn't buy Xbox for Castle Crashers or Rez, you know, whatever. You know, we buy them for Halo and Gears and Forza, and we buy PlayStations for Uncharted, God of War, Gran Turismo, and we buy Nintendo consoles for Mario, Zelda, you know, Smash Brothers, you know. That's what we buy it for. Nobody's buying a Nintendo console for, you know, indie games. You know, we're not buying Xbox Ones for iDarb. You know, we're just it doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? There's no point into upgrading your console.
But hold on, Crap. That's what you're saying made total sense. But that's not what the media is portraying. The media has been talking now for 2.5 to 3 weeks about soccer cars. And they're making it sound like if you go home tonight and you don't play that game, there's actually something wrong with you. It's the most fun we've experienced in such a long time. Is that long time air quoted, and is that referring to the amount of fun the media shoved down our throat when we had to watch 75 outtakes of fucking Bloodborne? Like, what kind of fun are they talking about? Listen, I get it, everybody. It's a free title. You go home, you grab a bag of Funyuns, and you play a little soccer cards. Okay, I get that. It's cool. But don't tell me for 3 weeks straight you're running home to fucking drive a little Tonka truck and hit a soccer ball into an empty net. That's not exciting. I mean, unless you're about 7 years old. I mean, if you're 7 years old, which is about I think that's the median age for the media, the gaming media. You know, unless you're that age, I don't understand what's so funny. Or maybe it's because they're all in California and they're high. I'm not sure really what it is of how or what the hell's going on. Like, there's no way that you can tell. And this is that same shit that I'm talking about. This is what you have to keep beating into people's heads. The media is driving all these things we're talking about, sales, and Blackie nailed it. They get the same controller. It's the same. Do you guys remember this? How many comparisons of controllers did we see? The reviews that came out when the consoles came out. The Xbox One controller versus the new DualShock 4, and everybody said, and I'm going to paraphrase, but I'm kind of quoting. They said, well, the PS4 controller, hands down, is just so much better than the PS3 one. So I got to kind of say it's either neck and neck or maybe the DualShock 4 is a little better. Microsoft put $100 million into the research of the Xbox One controller, what it can do, how it's going to be remoteless with a dongle for the Windows 10 upcoming event. When it launches on Xbox One, you can use it on all of your devices in the house. The thing can now take updates without being hooked up.
Firmware updates.
Updates. Okay, this is what the DualShock 4 is not only in the same package like Blackie Lebowski just said. It's the same fucking controller. It's the same thing. They put up a couple
Look, okay, he cut off again. Am I
Hey,
right?
Mooch's
Sorry. All
internet
right.
is a little bit bad right now, but I
What was
think
you
he was
gonna
going to
say?
say that it's basically. And look, I own a PS4. The PS4 controller feels better than the PS3 controller, but that's not saying much.
Right.
The PS3 controller is very it's not fun. You know, it's
If
just
the
the way the triggers are and stuff like that. It's just not a good controller. The PS4 controller is better, but what they did was with like the touchpad in the middle and then the share button where it's at. If you have a little bit bigger hands, man, I'm always hitting that fucking share button or that touchpad, and it's like always fucking with things. You know what I mean? So, and also the light on there that's nonstop that you can't turn off that was thrust upon us. You
It
know,
glows on the TV, like you see
yeah,
that when you're trying to fucking play.
well, it's not just
And
that. It's not that it dies, man. You know, like your controller, like I'm
Yeah.
not buying a second controller, so that means like pretty much whenever you're not gaming, you have to have that thing charged up or charge it up really quick. You know, it's like it's a situation where it dies. If people want to rag on the Xbox One for using, giving us the choice to use batteries or whatever, but that way, say you only have one controller. If it dies out, you can at least switch out your batteries if you don't have battery packs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
absolutely.
have both. I use battery packs and rechargeable batteries. So, but if they die out, at least I don't have to stop gaming or use that little 2-foot cord that they give you to charge it. You know what I mean? And it's like there's nothing draining it like that fucking light that has no purpose whatsoever. And it's stuff like that that like kind of irks me about the PS4. You know what I mean? I'm
Sorry if
not.
I keep cutting
Just
out.
to
My
mention this
apologies.
real quick, dude, because that's a good point, man. As I remember the PS3, Sony, they seem to do shit ass backwards. Think about, well, Nintendo might have fallen into this trap with the Wii U gamepad, but the Xbox controller is always innovative. It seems like everything they've added, they've kept or just improved on. Think about the PS3 controller. That shit came out. They were like, "Oh, you don't need no Rumble." Had to add that shit back with
Yeah, it's last gen. Rumble's last gen, bitches.
yeah, let me finish real quick. And then they had the 6-axis, right? Where the fuck was that at? I mean, this is what they invested into this controller, and that was nowhere to be seen as far as in the DualShock 4. I could be wrong, but then you look at the DualShock 4, and you got this light that drains the battery. So that's probably not going to be in the next one. You have this useless ass touchpad that seems counterintuitive. It seems kind of okay, but it definitely I can see it not being in their next controller. Like everything on the Xbox One controller is gonna be there, but just improved. Like rumble triggers, it all makes sense, man. Like somebody really thought about it. To me it seems like A, Microsoft had more money for R&D than B, Sony, who's broke as fuck.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
what
agree. I agree 100%.
what Sony does is they sell you yesterday's product for tomorrow's prices. They're using old products, like for example, that remote. They have the touchpad. Like how long ago did our laptops and our computers have that, right? They use Bluetooth, which it's the version of Bluetooth that they're using is maximum data output is at 35 megabytes per second. But the Xbox One remote has Wi-Fi Direct, and theirs is at 300 megabytes per second. Like and like Crap said, we get the option to put batteries and things like that. Like with the PS4 remote, once the battery dies, and I mean like when its charge is done, you have to throw out the whole damn remote. Like that, they really they try to get away with not having to pay for shit as far as like innovation. They remember how they said like Rumble Pack was last generation. That's essentially what they're doing. They're selling you last generation technology for tomorrow's prices.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, and people buy into their stuff like nobody's business. Like, okay, let me throw out a new slogan here for the players or this. You know what I mean? We're the greatest play. It's like people fall for this shit. You know what I mean? And the problem is mob mentality and weak-minded people fall for this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, like I said, like where we grow up, and I'm not gonna hit on this topic too much, but I'll just throw this out there as a good example, like religion. Okay, we tend to believe what we grow up around, right? Very rarely do we as people go out and search for ourselves. These things like what religion would be best for us, or which one makes the most sense. It's the same thing with gaming, right? Like so many people with the mob mentality. Hey, Jim Bob bought a PS4, so I guess I should too because he says the Xbox One shit. You know what I'm saying? So at this point in time, do the research yourself before deciding. That would be my one thing that I would say to people. And if you're impressed with the Xbox One lineup of games, then buy it. If you're impressed with the PS4 lineup of games, then I'd question your sanity, but buy it. You know what I mean? It's just at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it. And as we're going on close to 2 hours, I guess we'll just about wrap it up. We've hit 250, 260 people here tonight, and I'm very appreciative. You guys should check out Blackie Lebowski, his channel on YouTube. It's really cool. It's an up-and-coming channel. He's got a lot of cool content, a lot of good takes and stuff. I'm subscribed. Again, I think I'm subscribed to only maybe 30 channels, and these guys all here are ones that I'm subscribed to, except for Mooch, because his channel is never coming. It's
in your hands.
You need a Kickstarter. You need a Kickstarter for that channel.
I gotta go over to Japan and grab a guy and bring him over. That'll be my first episode.
Yeah.
And drag him over and have him just Mooch. I'll be honest. No, literally, we'll be up and running next week, and I should have my internet back up to 100%. Like I said, I'm in a bit of construction at the house, so I'm just excited. I might as well tell the audience. I told crap. We just recently moved, so having some work done in the house, so I'm kind of all over the place. That's why I was even 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully everything will be up and running. I appreciate crap having me on, and I'm at least trying to give everybody some entertainment starting next week. See what I can do.
Yeah, people, you'll probably hit 1,000 subscribers super fast.
I appreciate it. I've actually gotten a lot of support already on Twitter. A lot of people DM me. People hit me. My Xbox inbox is full, saying hurry up, get this channel going. So I'm definitely have something going, and hopefully I don't disappoint. I'm gonna try and give everyone a good show.
And we got Too Much Food. He does a good channel too. He does, and I seen somebody down in the comment section on the right side pimping your channel, saying you do good blogs, and I was like, damn, Too Much Food done logged in with something else, and the same, he's pimping his own stuff. So yeah, so make sure you guys check that out. It's Too Much Food, all one word with number zeros for the O's. So yeah, check out his stuff. And again, Blackie, man, thanks for joining us, man. Did you have a good time?
I did, and I wanted to say thanks, guys, for having me. It's been really good, Crap Gamer. I wanted to say personally, thank you for the videos, being consistent. That's why I'm always on your channel, man. That really works. I can always watch videos, so I appreciate it. And
I appreciate it. Hey, and you know what, dude? You're always IGST. That's the thing that I do mainly. And then I wanted to do something on my channel that was different because I felt no knock to the BGST guys, because those guys are awesome. But I didn't want to feel like I was replaying content, you know what I'm saying, for the same opinions twice a week, you know what I'm saying, on a lot of the same topics. So I kind of wanted to do my own thing, and Mooch was trying to start his channel and was like, well, can I do it, because I'm trying to get out there as much as possible before I do my channel. So I was like, yeah. And then Too Much Food came to me, and then Dealer Gaming, who I hope can be back in next week. Hopefully we can figure that out. And you, but I would like that to be the group, because you guys are up-and-coming YouTubers, and are the guys that I know are Xbox guys, not fake. There's a lot of fakeness out there, and a lot of people that are going to jump on that bandwagon, especially now. Be wary of that, people. There's going to be a lot of people acting like they love the Xbox all along. You're seeing it with gaming sites now. They're loving the Xbox for the most part. You're going to see a lot of fakeness with the YouTubers as well. Oh man, I believed in Xbox all along. I can tell you right now that's not the case. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's very few that, if you weren't rocking it, I'm not saying you can't be a new fan, but if you weren't really rocking it or saying, hey man, I like it because of the games, or if you were afraid to speak up when it was getting kicked around, you know what I mean? Then I don't know if you belong really repping it now. So the guys that I rock with are fans, you know what I mean? So that's cool, and I like your channel, Blackie. I was watching your stuff today. I thought it was really funny. You know what I mean? You do a lot of good entertaining stuff. You're playing Rare Replay. I mean, you play the games. That's the important part, you know what I mean? It's there's so many fake ones out there. I even get accused hey man, you're a fake gamer. You're always on Media Player. And it's man, I got 100,000 gamer score almost. You know what I mean? It's how can I be fake? I mean, people want you to, if you don't have some kind of magical thing or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I own almost every game that comes out. I get, you know what I'm saying? But it's people will always try to make up stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's that part can get a little bit old, where I had people oh, well, you bought this, or you buy this, or buy subs. It's I got some people say, hey, crap, you don't even have a job because you do videos every day. And then I have the other people tell me, well, crap, you just buy subs and buy views. It's like, which is it? Am I poor, so I got to do YouTube to survive, or do I have money and I'm just buying subs and stuff like left and right to look good? You know what I mean? For me, buying stuff would not make me look good. You know, if I want to grow organically, and I don't think I have a big channel, but I think that people can kind of relate because I'm not really filtered like you, Blackie. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I always say this too, like next gen and you guys, you know, you guys have to maybe climb a little bit steeper hill, because a lot of people think because you guys are black or whatever that you're not educated or whatever. You know, you went to college. Next gen's very educated when it comes to gaming and stuff like that, but you face a little bit of an uphill battle. You know what I mean? Because you're, you know, just because of that. You know what I'm saying? I feel sorry about that. You know, I think that next gen should have a shit ton more subs, and so should you. You know what I mean? And that's just the way I feel. And Showstopper, all these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're doing really good content, and it sucks that I see that, you know, they aren't maybe growing as much as they should or whatever. You know what I mean? But I love your guys' content. You know what I mean?
So, I wanted to say before Crap got into that. I wanted to say.
Brings a light to my day, man. Unlike a lot of people, he's really, that guy's going to be huge on YouTube. I'm just going to say that. That's all I'm going to say. But Showstopper definitely kind of a hidden diamond on YouTube, dude. He's hilarious. And I say that's one of the reasons why you need an Xbox. You don't want to be on the brunt end of them jokes with him choking that damn pony, man, because I'd be laughing, man.
Yeah, dude, Showstopper is funny as hell. He's a hard-working dude. That's why he doesn't, like, his videos are, like, far between, because he works, like, so often, you know what I mean? He's a hard-working guy. He's a good guy. If you notice, he never really gets into a lot of the scuffles and stuff that everybody else does, you know what I mean? And I think that, you know, that he's hilarious. Like, that's why, like, BGST works so well. Like, it's interesting when we, you know, a lot of people hate on us, or they didn't think we'd last, or they think this, or they think that. Man, we've been together for a long time, and we keep rocking it, and we're popular. I mean, we did our Gamescom wrap, and we had almost 400 people watching live in the stream. You know what I mean? So obviously there's probably some jealousy and things like that going on, but we're entertaining. That's the most important thing. You know what I mean? And it's like everybody brings their own kind of thing to it. And just like you, dude, and Dealer Gaming, like, I like his stuff too, and that's why, like, I invited him in here. Hopefully he can get that worked out for next week. Too Much Food, up and coming. Mooch, get your shit together. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
channel. I like Dealer Gaming. I just want to say personally, Too Much Food, the Mooch. It was really great to meet you guys.
Thanks, man.
Talk to you, because I've watched these podcasts, and yeah, it's good to meet y'all, man. It was really cool.
Man. I do want to say
Xbox is legit, man. They really are. I've met a lot of really cool folks on here, so Xbox all the way, man.
Yo, I tell you, it's great that actually. Let me take a second and say this. I said it in the beginning of the show, but you can. Wife will tell you, family will tell you. We watch Blackie all the time. Blackie, I'm a big fan. Keep up the good work, man. Because I'll be honest with you, you're hysterical. Love the quarterly reports you do, when you're actually telling people the parenthesis numbers are bad. All right, I like how you do that. I like how you break it down and educate people on that. Like, I think each person's got a different calling card, and I think your background and what you went to school for, I like how you're taking that and showing people how Sony's actually not doing well. They're not progressing correctly in the business scheme. And like, so I thought when Crap said you were on tonight, and I saw the tweet he sent out. Big fan of your channel, so by all means, Blackie, keep it up, because you can count on my view every single time you post.
I was trying to get him in here for a while, man. Like, I don't know what happened. I was like he wasn't following me on Twitter. I was trying to message him, and then he wasn't following me. So I was like, dude, you got to follow me, and then I can inbox you. You know what I mean? Because I needed to hit him up on Skype first, because that's how I usually send out the invites or whatever. But or you have to follow me on Twitter so I can send them that way. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, I got that together. And I like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, I'm not a huge YouTuber, like there's Red Dragon, huge YouTuber, you know what I mean? Those guys are huge YouTubers.
You're on your way. You're on your crap.
You know what I mean? And I feel like, and I'm grateful for that. So if I can feel like I can help some of the other YouTubers out that should have a lot more subscribers, man, then I will. You know what I mean? And like, I'm not an asshole. Like, a lot of people put me off as that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that goes around. Like, Crap doesn't help anybody, doesn't care about the other. Man, these guys are funny, but you have to watch yourself a little bit, because I know how that is. Like, a lot of those people like to talk shit behind your back. You know what I mean? They don't really, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are in there just for themselves, and it's like, that's not my thing. I want to help people out. And the people that are genuinely Xbox fans and that, and these guys are funny and entertaining, and that's why these are the ones that I watch, and so I bring them on the show, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll have Blackie back next week too, everybody back probably next Wednesday. I try to want to do these every Wednesday at 8. We did it Thursday because we had just come off Gamescom where we did one Tuesday night, and I wanted to give that a day to breathe, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we'll probably be doing these every Wednesday. I like this crew. Let me know in the comments, too, man. And make sure you check out Blackie's channel and you check out Too Much Food's channel and comment, rate, and all that good stuff, man. And we'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching. Rack 'em up. Later, guys.